Master John Pellegrini and the International Combat Hapkido Federation proudly present Combat Hapkido, The Science of Self-Defense, Volume 3, Defenses Against Garment Grabs. Shoulder grabs. Technique number 1. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a kick or a strike. Grab his wrist and rotate his arm forward. Lock his elbow with your arm and take him down. Technique number 2. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a kick or a strike. Rotate his arm forward and apply pressure to the back of his elbow, placing your opponent in an armbar. Maintain the armbar as you take him down. Technique number 3. Trap the hand and distract. Place your knife hand above your opponent's elbow and place him in an armbar. Another way of performing this technique is to distract your opponent with an ox jaw strike to his ribs and then lock his arm against your own body. Technique number 4. Distract your opponent and trap his wrist. Then attack the pressure point on the inside of his elbow with your thumb. Step across, under, and around, placing him in an arm and wrist lock. Retain the wrist lock and place him in a chokehold. Technique number 5. Trap your opponent's hand and slap his face to distract him and to circle over his arm, locking it. Be sure to keep your hand live throughout the technique and apply upward pressure to the back of his elbow. Follow up with a sweep or a hair grab. Technique number 6. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a kick or a strike. Lock his wrist by going over his arm with your arm and pointing your fingers to your opposite knee. Technique number 7. Same initial movement as technique number 6. This time, however, as you go over your opponent's arm with your arm, point your fingers to his groin. As you lock his wrist, take him down to his knees, strike his throat, and grab the back of his head to take him down. Technique number 8. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a kick or a strike. Reach up and grab his wrist. Raise your elbow and apply two-way torque, placing him in a painful wrist lock and taking him down. Technique number 9. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a middle knuckle strike to the ribs. Reinforce the trap with your other hand and apply pressure to the wrist. Take him to his knees and strike the throat to put him on the ground. Technique number 10. Trap your opponent's hand, rotate his arm with a snapping motion, and attack his locked arm with a downward elbow strike. Back collar grabs. Technique number 1. Distract your opponent with a cross hand punch to his ribs. Use both hands to rotate his arm forward and lock it above the elbow, placing him in an arm bar. Technique number 2. Lower your center of gravity as you trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a punch to the ribs. Dip your head under his arm and come around, applying pressure to the back of his elbow, locking the arm. Step forward and take him down. Technique number 3. Raise a hand up to protect your face as you deliver a punch to your opponent's ribs. Use the punching hand to grab his sleeve or arm and pull him down. With the other hand, grab your opponent's shoulder or throat and sweep him to the ground, immobilizing him. Two hands grab, two arms from the front. Technique number 1. Your opponent grabs the middle of your sleeves or arms. Distract him with a kick to his leg and lower your center of gravity as you circle and trap his hands with your arms. Step back, pull him to the ground, and immobilize him. Technique number 2. Distract your opponent with a kick and trap one of his hands with your cross hand. With your other arm, circle and trap the same hand. Turn your body, step back, and take him down. Technique number 3. Trap one of your opponent's hands with your cross hand by going over his arm. Use the other hand to go over his other arm, applying pressure to his wrists. Take him down to his knees and throw him backward with a strike to the throat. Technique number 4. Distract your opponent with a low kick and reach across your body to grab his elbow. Now circle your opposite arm around his arm and lock it by driving his elbow upward. Be sure to stay at the side of your opponent where it is easy to control him and stay out of his reach. Two hands grab two arms from behind. Technique number 1. Bend at the knees and step one leg directly behind your opponent's legs. Grab his pant legs or the backs of his knees and pull upward, throwing him to the ground. Two hands grab the shoulders from behind. Technique number 1. Bend at the knees and step under and around your opponent's arm and trap his hand to your shoulder. As you raise up, rotate his arm so that his elbow faces upward. Now use your forearm to apply pressure to the back of his elbow, locking the arm. At the same time, lock his wrist by driving his hand in and take him to the ground. One-handed lapel grabs. Technique number 1. Distract your opponent with a kick or strike and grab his wrists with both of your hands. Torque his arm as you step back, throwing your opponent to the ground. Technique number 2. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him with a kick or a strike. Reinforce the trap with your other hand as you lower your center of gravity. Bend your opponent's wrist and take him to his knees. Grab his hair and pull, throwing him to the ground. Follow up by attacking the pressure point under his chin and striking the face. Technique number 3. Distract your opponent and trap his hand. Grab his wrist with your other hand, apply two-way torque, and step back, taking him down. Technique number 4. Trap your opponent's hand and distract him. Grab his wrist and bring your elbow over his arm, taking him down with an armbar. Technique number 5. Distract your opponent and trap his hand using your same side hand. Attack the pressure point on the inside of his elbow and push the arm upward. Step across and under and place your opponent in an arm lock, taking him to the ground. Technique number 6. Step to the side and deliver a palm heel strike to your opponent's elbow. This will create an opening for you to insert your arm around his arm and in, grabbing the chin. Grab your opponent's hair with the other hand and pull and push with your hands as you step back to throw him to the ground. Follow up by grabbing the pressure point under his chin and striking his face. Two-handed lapel grabs. Technique number 1. Distract your opponent with a kick or strike. Reach across your body, over, and then under his arms and grab his forearm. Place him in an arm bar and take him down. Technique number 2. Distract your opponent. Reach over and grab one of his wrists while trapping the other with your elbow. Torque down on both wrists to take him to his knees. Grab his hair and put him on the ground. Technique number 3. Grab your opponent's belt or other garment and pull it into you as you push your spear hand forward into his throat. Drop your knee into your opponent's groin and follow up with a strike. Technique number 4. Grab one of your opponent's wrists with both hands. Be sure that your thumbs are facing down. Step back and torque his wrists, throwing him to the ground. Finish up with a wrist lock. Technique number 5. Distract your opponent with a kick or strike and bring both of your arms over his forearms, locking his arms to your body. Step back and take him down to his knees and grab his chin and hair, twisting his head to take him down. Follow up with a strike. Technique number 6. Apply a pressure point grab to your opponent's carotid artery and grab his hair and twist, taking him down. Follow up with a strike. Middle sleeve grabs. Technique number 1. Distract your opponent with a kick or strike and reach across to grab it. Use your other arm to go over his arm, locking his wrist. Take him down to his knees and strike him to the throat, driving him backwards. Technique number 2. Distract your opponent with a strike to the face and place him in an arm lock by going over and around his arm with your arm. Step back to take him to the ground and control him with a painful arm lock. Armpit or side grabs. Technique number 1. Trap your opponent's arm with your arm and strike him under the elbow. Step across and sweep him to the ground, maintaining an armbar. Technique number 2. Reach across and grab your opponent's wrist while applying downward pressure to his forearm. Take him down to his knees and place him in a chokehold.